Hello, my name is Eric Olson, Director of Helps Law Group. This brief video is going to address the issue, am I responsible for my spouse's debt, or is my spouse responsible for my debt? I've been an attorney for over 40 years. I'm the founder of Helps. Helps Law Group is a law firm that represents lower income and poor seniors in order to stop collector contact. We also want to educate seniors about their financial rights. But the rules I'm talking about today apply to anyone of any age. A common question that comes to us sometimes is if someone has remarried and they have debt of their own that they bring into the marriage from before the marriage, they think or wonder if their new spouse will be responsible for that debt that they brought into the marriage. The answer is an absolute no. They're not responsible for that new debt. So you don't need to worry about that kind of thing, okay? Now, another issue is credit card debt, okay? If you get a credit card in your name alone and your spouse isn't on the credit card, can you expect the credit card company will look to your spouse to collect that debt as well as you? Again, the answer is no. They will not. They will only go after the person who applied for the credit. Some states have what's called laws called community property, and there's about 7 or 8 states in the United States have community property statutes. California is one of them, which essentially says that all a married couple's assets and liabilities are held jointly, okay? And they're jointly responsible for debts that any one of them incurs or assets that they may hold. As a practical matter, in 40 years of practice, I've never seen a credit card company ever attempt to use community property laws to go after a person's spouse who wasn't on the credit card with them as a joint obligor on the credit card. Just doesn't happen. Okay, so practical matter is that if your name alone is on the credit card, they're not going to go after your spouse. Everyone should understand that as far as their credit rating is concerned and their credit report, it's all individual. Your credit report is based on you individually, not on your spouse. Now, why is it important to know that? Well, it can be a factor in what you decide to do. I'll give you an example. I recently just got a call from someone who, a husband and wife, and they had $50,000 worth of debt. They were both on Social Security, and he had a pension. But the credit cards, $40,000 of the $50,000 in credit cards were in the wife's name and not in the husband's name. He had $10,000 of credit card debt that was in their name jointly. Now, what Helps does is we represent seniors and disabled persons nationwide that are on Social Security, pension, disability, VA benefits. That money is protected by federal law. It can't be garnished or taken from them. But if debt isn't paid, creditors can call them, harass them, make their lives miserable. Under federal law, if you're represented by an attorney, collectors have to leave you alone, and that's what Helps does. We represent seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay as their attorney to stop collector harassment. And the collectors can no longer communicate with them. They have to communicate with Helps. We don't turn anyone away. So this couple decided that she would enroll with Helps, and we would send letters to the people she owed money to, advising them that we represented her and not to bother her anymore. And therefore, there would be some negative entries on her credit. And she understood that. And she might even get sued by them. But because they'd been married for over 30 years, but because her husband only had $10,000 in credit card debt, and he had a higher amount of Social Security he was receiving, and also a pension, and the payments were such that he could afford to pay them, he decided that he wouldn't participate with Helps, and that he would continue to make the payments on his credit cards and preserve his credit. And because since credit is established separately in a marriage, his wife's not paying the bills wouldn't affect his credit report. And therefore, he could keep his credit, he could apply for new credit, and there wouldn't be any problems credit-wise for that couple. So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg on this issue, but it's important to the most important thing I want to point out is that, if you remarry, your spouse is not responsible for debt that you incurred before you were married. It just and it works the same way they're not responsible for your debt before that you married. And as far as credit cards, if your name alone is on the credit card, then you're not responsible for it. I mean, you're responsible for it. Your spouse won't be. Now, what happens if you have a credit card and you make someone else an authorized user on the credit card? Okay. Well, there it becomes a little bit more dicey. Okay. An authorized user on a credit card, our position is it helps, and as an attorney for 40 years, is that the authorized user is not responsible for that debt. Okay. They didn't sign and agree to pay it. They're only authorized to use the credit card under the other person's name. They're the ones that are ultimately responsible. I don't think that the credit card company has a right to report the credit on the authorized user's credit report. We don't see that happening. But a lot of times, if a user of a credit card stops paying it, credit card companies will sometimes try to shake down the authorized user to intimidate them to thinking they should pay it. But they're not legally responsible. They shouldn't have to pay it. Example would be, let's say I worked for a big corporation and I had a corporation credit card. Okay, the corporation is the one that's liable on the debt, but I needed a credit card to travel with, to put a plane ticket, rent a car, or whatever. I'm an authorized user on that account, but I'm not reliable. I'm not liable for it. I didn't put my credit up to sign to get it. I just use it on behalf of the corporation. Therefore, if the corporation were to go bankrupt, not pay it, can the credit card company come after me as an authorized user for the corporation? The answer is clearly no. And it's the same thing with a husband and wife. But once again, sometimes credit card companies or collectors for credit card companies will try to intimidate people into thinking otherwise. So if you're a senior and you have debt you can't afford to pay, you need to know that your Social Security, pension, disability, VA benefits, your retirement income is protected by federal law under various federal laws. It does not need to be used to pay old debt you can't afford to pay. But if you can't pay the debt, creditors can call and make your life miserable. Federal law also provides on the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, if you're represented by an attorney, collectors have to leave you alone. And that's what HELPS does. We represent seniors nationwide as our attorney to stop collector harassment. You can always call us with questions, toll free 855-435-7787, or visit our website at www.helpsishere.org. You might want to look at some more of the videos here on our YouTube page. And by all means, look at our website. We've got lots of articles and information there on these topics. The second purpose of HELPS is to educate lower income and poor seniors how they can maintain their financial rights. Hopefully this has been helpful, and you have a great day.